What this guy is saying is a lot of the advice coming from maybe people that are older are saying just don't have kids. I don't know. I tend to agree with that and to some extent, because I think if you financially are not in a position where you can really afford your own life, you probably should really think twice about having kids. In the past, it was maybe more economically viable to have a normal career path and be able to afford not only a house but children as well. So really, to me, I think the prudent thing, if you don't have a big income, or if you don't maybe already own a house or have somewhere comfortable where you can, theoretically live with your partner and have room for the family to grow and be financially in a good place, it probably makes sense for you not to have children, right? And we see that already. And I've said it in other videos. My grandmother had like 7 kids, and she started having kids, I think, when she was 20 or 21 years old. And she basically had kids like for the next 15 years, every other couple of years, right? 7 kids. My parents had 3 kids, and then I have 2 siblings, and still right now we're in our 30s. We don't have any kids yet between all 3 of us. So still, I know there's people that have kids young. I know like the Mormon culture, for example, or if you're religious, they tend to have kids younger. Like that's just part of their culture, and it's very much family oriented. And that's how it was, 50 years ago as well. Catholics, they would have children at a younger age. But now, we see people are waiting longer to have kids, or they're just not having them at all. And they're delaying that. They're delaying getting married. They're delaying having kids. And I think once you've lived a good chunk of your life without having kids, you almost become just used to not having kids, right? You become used to your single life or your life without having children. And changing that up would be like a big shock to you. You've set your life up maybe financially or career-wise to not really be centered around children. So if you're 30 or 35 years old and you're thinking about having children, you might say, you know what, I just don't know if I'm really ever going to be ready for that. And my parents even said that too. I mean, I remember hearing that, like, hey, there really never is a perfect time to have kids. It's always going to seem like you should wait, or it's always going to seem like maybe waiting another year, or waiting for this to happen, like, or for me to get this promotion or whatever. Like it's never going to be convenient, right? Because a kid is going to take time away from other things in your life. So it's just a matter of, how much do you want to have the kid? I think a lot of people today, though, they're maybe having kids when they financially are not in a position to really be able to support the children. You probably want to have a house. You probably want to have a solid career or job. You want to have some savings, and if you're not in that position, having a kid is probably only going to make your life more stressful, and the kid is going to pay the consequence, right? Maybe you're not there as much. Let's say that you get divorced, and now the kid has 2 different parents, and they have to deal with kind of an unstable home environment. So, not to say that I'm against people having children, but I think a lot of people have kids without really understanding the economic reality of what that means. Like a lot more time that you're gonna have to spend, a lot more money and resources and costs that you're gonna have to spend. And if you're kind of barely scraping by financially by yourself or as a couple, having a kid is only going to make things more complicated. So what's the solution, right? I mean, obviously the government and countries in general, they want younger people, or just people in general, to have children, because that's population growth, tax base, more younger people. For society to work, you have to have younger people who are able-bodied to go work to contribute, to pay taxes, to help, basically support the aging older population. And so if we don't have more young people, there's going to become a time when, you look at like Social Security and these different programs, they're kind of Ponzi schemes. If you don't have enough young people paying into the system, the older people will not receive the benefits, right? So with less young people, there's not going to be any resources for the older people to survive. Or the older people are going to have to tax the younger people at a higher rate because there's less people to basically disperse that expense over, right? So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting comment from about kids. I mean, I don't totally disagree with it though. I think really, I understand having kids is kind of a normal thing, but if you're in the position where you financially probably shouldn't have kids, then you realistically, you probably shouldn't. I understand society might be against you and things are tough and maybe you want to have kids, but you're really only going to make your life more difficult if you have kids and you can't realistically afford them, right? So you guys let me know what you think on that. You can like or comment or subscribe if you want, and we'll see you on the next one.